A while back, I did a mail day video. I'm going to be revisiting one of the cards I opened in that video here today. I'll put a link to that video in the video description down below in case anyone wants to go back and check it out. So, I received this package from someone who wanted me to verify the authenticity of this misprint. Now, the card is totally a real card, that's not in question. The only thing we're talking about here today is these black marks that are all over the surface. The question is whether this happened in the factory and is a misprint, or whether this is something that happened after the fact and is just damage. Now, a misprint is basically factory damage, so it's important whether or not this happened inside the factory or afterwards. Misprints can be pretty valuable. This one in particular is an underground C, and it would be worth a pretty penny if this turns out to be a legit misprint. So, what we're going to do to verify this is that we're going to check whether or not those marks are printed with the ink, or maybe printed isn't the right word. We're going to check to see whether they were applied with the ink. So, misprint verification, here we go. Some misprints are pretty easy to tell whether they happened in the factory. This one right here, for example, that obviously happened in the factory. That's not something you can recreate afterwards. Pretty cool card. Says PBM Graphics Inc. That's the name of the printing company that made this mistake. Here's another one. I opened this one in the mail day video also. Check out, it's got that spot there in the corner. If you're wondering what that is, it goes like this. That corner was bent when this card was printed. Pretty cool. So, magic cards are printed in offset printing press, and there's each color's printed in a different layer. So we have, unprinted cardstock here. This is the yellow, and then we have, this is magenta and cyan are both here shown in this layer, and then this area down here has black, all the colors like it's supposed to have. But this corner here just got the black when it was bent over, and that might have something to do with what held the rest of this surface away from the printing plate. So, black ink from an offset printing press looks like this. Super thick, kind of waxy, like melted crayons or paint. So that's what that looks like. They spread it out real thin on the rollers and it goes on the cards. There's a different plate for every color. And after all the colors are applied, there's a clear wear coat that goes over everything to sort of seal it and protect it. Here's a playing card clear plastic coating. Protects, preserves playing cards. Enhances text and images. Slide formulation for superior shuffling and dealing. Of course, the print facilities get it in a much bigger container than that. So that clear wear coat provides a particular sheen to the card. It affects the way that light bounces off the surface. Now, it can actually be affected by temperature and humidity. That has to do with the drying time and how much time it has to level to a smooth surface before it completely dries. But even though you can get variation from card to card in different print runs for the gloss level, if you were to measure it with something like a gloss meter, the card itself should have a uniform surface sheen. So we're going to start with an example of just a regular card here, so you can kind of get a baseline for what we're talking about. Let me adjust my focus so that we can get a little closer, get a better look at this. There we go. Now we can move on in without worrying about the autofocus messing with us. So, Banalish Hero, here we go. We can move the card so the light shines off the surface there. And you can see that the light reflects the same off the black or the white or the orange, yellow, all the skin tones. The light reflects the same everywhere on the card. Even this text here, the black text, the light bounces off the same as it does off all the background. I chose this collector's edition card so that I could show you the gold ink. It's also underneath the clear wear coat. So that clear coat provides a nice uniform finish. Continuing on this baseline example here, we have a Magic the Gathering Pro Tour inaugural tournament, New York City, February 1996. The neat thing about this particular printing is that if you check out the gold ink on this one, that signature there doesn't reflect light the same way. So you can see the signature pretty clearly even in the glare. It's not reflecting the light. So that gold ink is printed on top of the clear wear coat for some strange reason. That's just the way they decided to do these. Even on the edge, the light doesn't bounce off of the gold the same as it does the rest of the card. Now this particular one was given out as a promotional item at an event. It's got this extra sticker on it, and Wizards of the Coast wanted people to come see their booth, so that's kind of a rare thing to find. Not many of these survived. And you can see that this sticker here is not the card surface. It's a totally different surface. Even it reflects light differently. Sort of a duller finish. But the black here, it's really shiny. The black reflects the light pretty well. Next, I'll show you a signed card here. This is from my signed card collection. I like to get cards that are signed by my friends. So this is a Garbage Fire signed by Rudy. So we'll check out this. Check out the way that Sharpie just really bounces the light back. It's way brighter than the rest of the surface. You get out this tool here so I can point at it. So yeah, you can kind of see along here. So that's something you can look for if you're checking out for inked cards. Usually the ink reflects light differently than the rest of the surface, because the ink for like a Sharpie or a signature is not on the same layer as the ink that's printed on the card. That wear coat is in between. So that's what signed cards look like. Now that we've sort of established a baseline, we're going to have another look at this Underground Sea. See if we can get an up-close look here. It's going to be tough to see because these black lines are pretty small. You can kind of see there, underneath the card name, we're reflecting light differently than the rest of the surface. And that's not what we wanted to see for it being a misprint. So it's not looking real good, but let's keep going. We'll keep checking some things, see if we can learn anything else here. Here is a Limdol's Hex. Just a regular Ice Age card. And here is a misprinted Limdol's Hex. Way too much black ink. Pretty cool looking. So the thing I wanted to show you on this card is that when there's way too much black ink, you look at the edge, and the edge of the card is perfectly white. That's because the cards are printed before they're cut, so no ink can get inside here. So we're going to take a look at the Underground Sea, and you can kind of see some marks there on the edge. So, again, that's not really what we wanted to see for the card to be legit. Now that's not really great evidence, but it's not looking good. So the next step is that we're going to take a closer look at the card. Here we go. This is a 2400 DPI scan. Pretty high resolution. We can zoom in and check it out. So we'll go straight up here. Alright, in this area here, you can kind of see some texture. What we're seeing here is highlights from the light bouncing off the higher surfaces. And that shows texture. And texture means that there's something on top of the surface of the card. You can kind of see it here too. It doesn't really look like something that's flat and on the same layer as this. It's something that's on top of the surface. There is a little misprint right there. Too small to really be worth anything, right there, but we found one. Again, that looks like stuff that's on top of the surface. Sometimes it just really helps to have a good scanner. And you can see here that the color isn't really black when the material is spread thin. You can see there was some here and it came off. Same with that right there. Now whatever this stuff is, it's stuck on pretty good. It's not going to come off. Maybe it would have when it was fresh, but Right now it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It's on there. Again, see texture. It's kind of a raised surface there. If you haven't seen an up-close look at an underground sea, here's a good chance to get a look at the rosette pattern. Just sort of looking around here. And there we have it. So there's one more card here I wanted to look at before we stop. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that card is a legitimate misprint. Kind of wish it was. Sorry to deliver the bad news, but that's just the way it is. So this other card came in this package with that one, and it was sort of a similar concern. This says ink, and it points up towards this guy's face here. Now we can't really see it in the sleeve, but the question was whether this was some kind of a factory substance or whether it's damage. And let me see if we can use this glare technique to sort of show it to you here. There we go. So you can kind of see it all in this area, down through here, across the guy's face here, and up this way again. It's that, whatever that residue is. Now typically in the factory, when you have a liquid, it gets spread into a horizontal oblong shape by the rollers in the press. So that's not really looking like a factory error either. That's probably just some kind of liquid residue. And these sort of bubble shapes that you see in it, that's typical of what you see when the liquid gets pressed flat, like if the liquid were in there inside the sleeve. It's possible that might even wipe off. If you were to get a damp cloth and gently wipe that off, you might clean it off of there. If you try that, be really careful not to get any liquid on this open porous card edge, because that will swell up and cause water damage. But the flat surface here is protected by the wear coat and the plastic foil. And I think that's about it for this video. He sent some more cards for me to check out, but they're kind of a different issue, so we'll make a separate video for that. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.